And this is a bridge that I found up in the Thompson River in be east of Cache Creek. I was fishing the river, and I was taken with the perspective of this bridge
Mm-hmm.
with the girders and just the roadway. It's a one-way bridge. So
Okay. So the roadway and the girders and the
yes,
perspective. So three
yes, it was the
things.
perspective. Yes.
Okay, the perspective. So what we're going to do first and foremost to this bridge is we're going to straighten it. Okay, now that's something that ideally you'd want to do in Lightroom. I feel that Lightroom does, a much, much better job in straightening architectural lines. But what I like doing in Photoshop is I don't think Lightroom has this, or guides. So you see how I have my rulers up here?
Yes.
Photoshop. If you do not have your rulers, you go to View, and they're right here. So you see, once they're checked off, I don't see my rulers, they disappeared. So I'm going to bring my rulers in. So I'm going to make sure this is checked on. And once I have rulers, it doesn't matter what units you have up here. Right now I have percentage, but I recommend being on the Move tool where you do this. It's much easier. So you click on the Move tool on your toolbar here, or V is the shortcut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, hold, and drag. And what I want to do is I want to put a guide right here. And when I put a guide, I see, okay, this is leveled. The horizon is leveled. And then, okay, these two are leveled. But what's not leveled and bothering me, because, okay, why am I saying it's bothering me? Because this image is very symmetrical. It's symmetrical, but not. Because the shadows are obviously not symmetrical, but you have all these two railings are pretty symmetrical. And you can see that the length here and the length here are not symmetrical because it's kind of chopped off here. We have an angle down here and we don't have that here. It kind of exits the frame here, where here it exits it on this corner. And that's kind of preventing it from being symmetrical. More so, we can see that these are pretty much not too bad, but when I look at where this beam starts down here, you can see this one doesn't start there either. Can you see that?
Yes.
This corner right here has to be aligned with this corner here.
Yes.
All right. And then just checking straight lines, it wouldn't hurt to straighten a bit too. Let me see. No, it's pretty straight there. For some reason it doesn't look. So it's just the perspective of it, because you have this one and this right here, this center is not aligned with this center. Okay, so overall what we need, I feel, is to just kind of either warp it or tilt it a bit. Let's try a few things.
I think I missed being center of the bridge.
That could be, but let's see if we can salvage it a bit. Okay, so what we can try doing is when you go into filter, so what I did was I duplicated a layer because I want to go into a filter, and I'm going to go into the lens correction. And let's turn the grid, let's turn it off a bit, because it's, when you go into the lens correction, we're going to go into custom, and right here in the transform, you can see what happens. Hold on, there's a bit of a lag between what it's showing us. There we go. Okay. You can see it's moving it sideways. Okay. But let's make it smaller a bit so we can get a better idea. Okay. You can see it's yeah, this isn't doing a great job here. Not too great. I think what I'm trying to do is bring the right side towards me a bit. And that's what I need, but not too much. I don't think I need to transform. It's kind of skewing everything here. So this isn't working. So I'm just going to click cancel. Now to hide my guides all at once, I'm going to click command and semicolon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit. Actually, let me have them on because I want to pay attention to this point here. I'm going to go to edit, transform, and I am going to try and distort. Okay. I can see now when I'm paying attention, I can't leave my cursor. Okay, I'll leave, but you can see the first iron bar, the first iron grid, you can see where it touches the railing on the right side is coming near to that guide. Okay, yes. This guide here and this guide. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Edit, transform, and distort. And I'm going to pull this a bit up. There we go. Now they're on much more. This has to go up a bit. And the center is much more aligned. Now this bottom is much more centered. This line, this one I can get rid of. And you can see that the center line, even though it's still not perfect, it's much better. If I turn this off, so you might have to do a little cropping, but overall, I find these things are the first things I do, and you can see the difference. Okay, it just gives, it's kind of like housekeeping. It's like cleaning off dust speckles on your sensor. It's the first thing I do. Now, what I would do, and I'd ask you, do you want to keep this image in color or in black and white?
I looked at it in black and white. It actually looked pretty good.
Okay. So let's do a black and white conversion. I'm just going to add a black and white adjustment layer. And right now it looks a bit flat. So let's kind of go through some presets, see what we get. Oh, this looks nicer. Okay, I like that. I like the green filter. And if I wanted to accentuate it even more, I could move the sliders. Okay. I know that there's yellow, so if I move the yellow slider and then the green of the foliage, actually I wouldn't mind making the foliage darker. And then the sky could easily be darkened. Okay, but that's not bad. What I tend to do is after I convert to black and white is still add levels and check the histogram and see if it needs to be put it in a bit. Chuck, do you work with Photoshop?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I should have asked you that, I guess, from the beginning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right, so this is just tweaking, just starting out. And now I would do something similar to what I did with Alex's image. I'd add a curves, and I'm darkening everything. Okay, I'm darkening everything. However, I want to create the sense of perspective going into the shot. So I'm going to make this mask black. And what I would do is actually with a gradient adjustment layer, because I don't want to use the brush. I don't want to create blotches here. I actually want it to look very smooth. So I chose the G for gradient. Now, if my mask is black, I need to make sure that I have the opposite color in the foreground. I'm going to be on the linear gradient, and 80% is a bit strong. So what I'm going to do now is from the edges, and actually from the diagonals, I can start. Now, yeah, even 47% is a bit much. Let's go down. And just create a vignette in a way.
Right.
And because light could be a leading line, oops, let's turn this off. I got a crazy line here. Okay. And I might have to come back and tweak it. Now you can also do this Are you familiar with the pen tool? Do you work with the pen tool at all?
A little bit. I've done some work with it.
Okay. So with a pen tool, you would trace the railings.
Okay.
You trace it very
Mhm.
carefully. Okay, not so brass like I'm doing it, but you do a better job. And we'd save it. And if I make it now active, and I don't want this part to be dark, I make sure that I'm with a black brush, kind of hide the effect of the darkening within
Right,
here. So
okay.
I don't
Mhm.
want it to affect the railings if I want to keep the railings dark. So I just don't want it there. What you could also do is, if you chose all your railings and you wanted to exclude the railings, actually, no, let's leave it. That would be a bit too complicated, I'm afraid. Okay, no, let's say you had the railing here too, selected, and you had all the areas that you wanted to keep light, and you only wanted to darken specific areas. Let's save this. I'm going to make this path active. And to make this path active as well, I'm going to have to right click here and make the selection. And I'm going to have to add it to the selection. Otherwise it would discard. So now I have two of the paths selected. I see marching ants. So if I want to darken everything else besides these, I'm going to go to select.
Inverse.
Inverse, yes. So now I can much easily, with my gradient on this layer that darkens everything, I need it to be white. I could now darken the walkway even quite a bit, and I know that I am not going to darken the railings because they are out of the marching ants area, okay?
Yes.
So I would work with that if perspective is what you wanted. And you might want to work separately on the walkway. You might want to work separately on the railings, but that's kind of what it comes down to.
Very nice, yes.
Okay. All right. Great shot.
I learned about paths. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Paths I normally address in the intermediate. I teach people how to use it in the intermediate Photoshop workshop. And then we're going to be doing more advanced things like actually implementing it with gradients and a lot more work within the advanced workshop that I'll have out. But that's for the future. In the
Thank
fall.
you very much, Sharon.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Chuck. Thank you.